Oh, that is crazy.
I was mesmerized by this contraption I've purchased.
How much that set you back, man?
It was $40. If you must know. X-Men. Deadpool, Wolverine, and we are here today to discuss Deadpool and Wolverine, the characters overall. Jordan, we literally just saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I got the actual first showing that I could get, 3 p.m. on the 25th. I get into the theater, right?
Did I got like it? I didn't even know. I don't even know.
We'll see. We'll have to get there.
Yep.
It's gonna take some time.
I haven't even written in a review yet.
I saw, or I didn't see.
I didn't even look at yours.
Don't. It's terrible. Don't do it. So I get to the theater, right? I got a quick story before I show you this funny thing I bought at the theater. Jordan says, I think I want to get the Wolverine tin, right? AMC's doing a new tin for this movie. It's like a big Wolverine face or something.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm thinking, I'll get one of the commemorative tins. I have an Aquaman tin and a Dune tin, which is fun for me. And I thought they had one, right? So I was going to buy it. But then I was looking. They had a little piece of paper with all the random things they have. And one of them said something different. It was something that wasn't normal. It was a sort of odd piece of memorabilia. It wasn't a T-shirt. It wasn't a popcorn tin. It wasn't a special. It wasn't like a commemorative refillable cup, such as this.
Sure.
But I just simply had to have it, right? So here I am today. Here, let me grab it for you.
Simply had to have it. What is it gonna be? I see
This
a bottle of ibuprofen behind you. Oh, wow!
It is a baby Deadpool in a little car seat with some Binky bottles.
Wow!
But here's the most interesting part: it is actually a cup.
Oh.
Okay.
That is interesting.
So,
to be sure,
in the back is this odd receptacle here. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Maybe you could fit a soda can in there. I don't really know.
Sure.
What that part is for.
Yeah.
Then you have this entire top of the seat comes off to put in the dishwasher or something, so you can clean it, right?
Sure.
So you have this whole thing separate little piece here.
I think you probably put popcorn in the bottom, and then you have drink in the top.
Maybe. And then, if it wasn't
whatever
enough,
drink you might want,
you twist off the top.
Oh,
so you can pour in your flask here. It's like,
wow, that is crazy.
I was mesmerized by this contraption I've purchased.
How much that set you back, man?
It was $40. If you must know. So I thought I saw it and I said, I just simply have to have it. I don't know anything about this little baby. If it's even in the movie, if it's just a joke for this little thing. I didn't know it was a cup. It didn't say it was a cup. It was described as baby Deadpool. And I said, well, that'll make Jordan laugh. Worth it. So I purchased that for you.
I am laughing. So you did succeed.
And it comes with
it's just called Baby Deadpool.
And it comes with a straw as well.
Oh man, that is a treat.
Just have that for you.
I'm crying.
Sit there. The lady at the cash register was like, a what? And I was like, that stupid baby thing over there. And she was like, oh yeah. It's gonna be $40. And the person next to me looked over, like the next person ordering right at the other cash register was like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. And then I have icy and a popcorn. Yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, wait, I can't carry all of this into the theater. Yeah. So I had to run back to my car and put this in the car. And then I ran back and they were like, and then I grabbed my popcorn and stuff and sat down. And I still saw
You're
two trailers.
I gotta go put this baby in my car.
Don't worry though. I cracked a window open so he didn't get too
incredible.
hot. So
yes,
let us begin
X-Men.
With X-Men here.
X-Men 2000. It's the year 2000, everybody. I think it takes place technically in the near future, is what it says.
Okay.
At the beginning of the movie, we meet Wolverine. He is fighting. He's a part of a fight club, essentially. At this point in the timeline, so they're living largely in secret. But in the present day, U.S. Senator Robert Kelly attempts to pass a Mutant Registration Act in Congress, which would force mutants to reveal their identities and abilities, a type of, Sokovia Accords adjacent type of thing. So he's trying to pass the Mutant Registration Act, and Jean Grey is there presenting on why mutants are actually you guys. We didn't choose this life. If we work together, we can have a nice life together. But we're introduced to one of our main characters for this movie, a young girl named Rogue. Rogue is a mutant from Mississippi whose powers manifest when she is making out with her boyfriend, and she accidentally puts him in a coma because her powers essentially suck the life out of people, out of normal people, and then if she comes in contact with a mutant, she kind of takes over their powers and sucks the life force out of them. So her powers manifest and she runs away from home. She flees to Canada, where we meet our boy Logan, who's in this slide, I'm sure. Logan is in Canada. He's participating in a fight club. He's getting rich and smoking cigars like all he wants to do and drink whiskey all the time. As we know, James Howlett has been alive for many, many years. He has been living without his memories for the past few years, which we might find out why in another movie, the origin movie. So he has an adamantium skeleton. He is a Wolverine mutant with claws. We all know this. He has enhanced senses, accelerated healing, and all this stuff. And he's a loner. He's hanging out at this bar all the time. When he meets Rogue, Rogue shows up at this bar and is like, "Hey, I've never met any other mutants before. I'm lost and don't know what I'm doing. Can we hang out?" And he's like, "I guess." She tags along with him, and then they're driving in a truck. And then who stops him? It's Ian McKellen, Gandalf himself, Magneto, and his guys, his bros. Sabretooth shows up to capture Logan and Rogue. But then the X-Men, everybody. The X-Men show up. Cyclops and Storm show up to save the day. And take Logan and Rogue to the X-Mansion. The next slide here is we see a young and hungry Hugh Jackman. He's making his debut here as Wolverine, shirtless. He wakes up in the X-Mansion not knowing where he is, and he's hearing Charles Xavier's voice in his head leading him around the mansion. He talks to Professor X, and Professor X is basically like, "James, I know I can see inside your mind, and you are a lost boy, and I can give you a home, and we can have a family again." And he's like, "Nah, I don't want anything to do with this." Whatever. But he puts up with it eventually. They all hang out, the X-Men. They figure out what Magneto's doing. Magneto's plan, he has his goons here. Mystique and some of those are X-Men, but there's Mystique and Toad and Sabretooth and Azazel, I think, is there. So Magneto is very angry at humans because this movie actually opens with a sequence of young Eric Lenscher during the 1930s, 40s, during the 40s. Nazi stuff. His family was taken away from him by the Nazis. He's been pretty angry since then, as you would. And he's been even more angry by humans' treatment of mutants, treating them like the minority that they obviously are, but treating them very terribly. So he is, what he's trying to do is he's trying to prove that mutants are the superior life forms, that they are the natural evolutionary next step to superiority. And so what he's doing is he's trying to create this machine that will activate or transfer mutant genes into every human being so that he can create a master race, which is like, you know, he's turning into the thing that he hates, maybe, and all that. So it's a pretty simple movie. He's trying to overthrow the world. He's trying to control the world, and the X-Men don't want to have anything to do with that. So they stop him. They go to the third act. The final battle takes place in and around the Statue of Liberty. Magneto is actually, they thought he was after Logan, but Magneto's actually after Rogue, because she is the key to making his machine work, because she has her abilities
doesn't
are
he
able
want to like make everyone a mutant?
Yes, he wants to be the lizard from the Amazing Spider-Man. He wants to make everyone lizards.
He turns that senator into a mutant.
He does, into a blob.
Blob.
So yeah, he wants to use Rogue's powers to transfer mutant abilities to every human. But at the end, after Scott Summers' Cyclops is like, they're like, Wolverine, put on the suit. And he's like, this is kind of ridiculous, isn't it? And Scott is like, what did you expect? Yellow spandex, everyone? The audience who knows about it? That's the first of many times they will refuse to use comic accurate outfits for some reason.
Not only that, but make fun of them.
Yes, make fun of them constantly. Rogue has been critically injured, I believe, but Logan lets her touch his face and drain the life force from him so that she can heal herself, and he's put into a coma at the end of that movie.
Oh, no.
And I don't remember really what happens after that, but they're like, I think Eric goes to prison, as he does at the end of every movie.
Right.
Every X-Men movie ends with Eric going to prison, I feel like. That's pretty much X-Men. So we're if we're tracing the progress of Wolverine here, he starts with no memories. He finds a family in the X-Men. He decides to use his powers for good and join this kind of this rebel group that's, they're not even rebels at this point. They're just trying to do the right thing and help young mutants survive and keep people from abusing other people. So he's taking steps in the right direction.
There you go.
That's pretty much that movie, I think.
Great.
Leading into
great.
Is it just X2 or is it X-Men
literally
2, X-Men United?
It is literally just X2. It's
great
actually
title.
Crazy. So
it's actually crazy.
The movie begins, X2. The movie begins with Nightcrawler making an assassination attempt on the President of the United States of America.
Lots of that these days.
But he fails. But he leaves behind a knife in the desk that says, "Mutant freedom now."
Okay.
Right? So, like, not only is this a random assassination attempt by a mutant, it's also a political movement, statement, right, that he's making. Yeah. So after the assassination attempt, the president is like, "Stryker, go get those children." So Stryker and his goons attack the school, right? So Wolverine having a beer.
Of course.
Well, actually, a root beer, because they don't have beer in the school. And he hears some mysterious noises. And... Root beer! Root beer, no! Root beer!
No! Root beer!
Oh
root
my
beer,
gosh.
no!
That is a classic joke right there. And they start trank darting all of the mutant children and taking them away. And so Hugh, a.k.a. Logan, a.k.a. James, a.k.a. Wolverine, he escapes with Pyro, Mr. Freeze, and Rogue, Iceman. And then Colossus also leads a couple of the children away in a different secret exit. So there's multiple groups of mutants that get away together separately. And you also have this sweet moment with this Spock moment here, where Wolverine and Stryker touch each other's hands through the ice. And it's because Logan is beginning to remember his past, his origins, X-Men, Wolverine, right? He starts having flashbacks, weird little tricky memories. He's like, Papa? And then Iceman and they all run away. They go to Iceman's house.
Frozen.
Okay, his parents' house. And so Iceman's younger brother runs upstairs and says, "Hey, mister, there's some mutants up here." and the police come a-knocking. Okay?
Sure they do.
And so Wolverine, Pyro, Iceman, and Rogue all stand on the porch, and they're like, what the heck is going on here? Why are we getting the police on us? This is crazy talk, right? And Pyro is all mad and stuff. He's like, you guys are racist against mutants. And Iceman is all, my brother betrayed me and my parents don't love me. Right?
Aw, poor Pyro.
And it's sad.
It is sad.
It is sad. And then a cop shoots Wolverine literally in the head. And then Pyro's like, screw you guys. And he lights his little lighter and he starts blowing up cop cars and stuff. And he's all pissed because he turns into a villain, right? And he runs away separately of our other heroes who get away on their own. They meet up with Storm and Professor X and Jean Grey and Scott Summers, who have all gone on a separate mission before the children were attacked. They went to Germany to find Nightcrawler, who attempted to kill the president. They find him at a church praying to God about his sins because guess what, guys? Stryker has this little thing in the back of some of the mutants' necks right here, a little circle, weird little skin thing that he drips some medication on, and then they are bent to his will, and they must obey his commands. No way. And this includes Eric Lensher's Magneto, who is captured, and he helps give information about Charles Xavier's school.
Whoa.
It also includes...
for the first time. I have not seen this movie.
It also includes an adamantium lady who has fingernail claws like Sabretooth. Oh, yeah. But they're as long as Wolverine's fingers. Or
recently.
Claw things, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway.
I might have seen her recently. Who knows?
I see. Stryker has captured Charles Xavier, right?
Okay.
He captured they captured him at the school. Okay? He was not on the jet earlier. He did not go to Germany. No. I apologize.
Oh.
They captured him at the school. I just literally lied to your face. They captured him, right? And they took him to the lake. I don't remember the name.
I have it here
It's
somewhere.
Alkali Lake or something like that.
Alkali Lake, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's like a secret base where Stryker holds these mutants and bends them to his will. And he has a plan to recreate Cerebro. Okay? Cerebro is Charles Xavier's super mind machine where he can connect with every mind on the planet. Right? Yes. So his plan is to get Charles in the chair at Cerebro and mind control him into killing all mutants. Stryker's son also has some sort of weird mind hypnosis powers, which is weird because his son is Archangel. I don't know who this other kid is. The X-Men know about this plan because they meet up with, they bust out, Magneto busts out of jail. So Mystique, right? Mystique's out here. Mm-hmm. She seduces the guard who stands post in Magneto's cell at a bar.
Sure.
And she makes him drink. She buys him a drink, and it has a bunch of iron tablets in it. Okay, and then when he goes to, right, they have the absolutely no metal prison, right? So he can't do anything.
Right. Mm-hmm.
He walks in there, and he's like, haha, I'm the guard. And Magneto smells the metal in his blood, and he's like, oh, it's my opportunity to escape. And he literally freaking sucks his blood through his skin, out of his body, in a huge mist cloud of blood. And he says,
sick.
Too much iron in your diet, huh? And then he makes like these 3 little iron balls out of this guy, and he just falls to the floor dead, right? It's horrific murder. And then he escapes with these 3 little metal balls. Anyway, he meets back up with Mystique, and he gets on the X-Jet plane, right? And he's like, hey, guys, I know where Stryker is. Let's go and get him. I'm with you guys. But he has a secret plan to change Cerebro so that Cerebro, instead of identifying all the mutants, identifies all the humans. And then the plan will follow suit exactly as Stryker has identified it as to do. But instead of killing all the mutants on the world, it will kill all of the humans on the world. And Magneto will live as Lord Paramount of the mutants.
Yes.
Right? So they go and do this. They all go to Alkali Lake to fight Stryker and save Charles and all the other kids and stuff and things. Meanwhile, let's get back to our boy, our homie, James Howlett, a.k.a. Logan, a.k.a. Wolverine, a.k.a. Hugh Jackman. He is in Alkali Lake. He starts recognizing structures, walls, paintings, things. And he finds this room with this tank. And he sees adamantium X-rays on the wall. And he starts to remember. And he sees flashbacks from the movie X-Men Origins Wolverine, which we'll talk about after Last Stand, I believe. Yes. And then he fights Fingernail Lady, and he injects her with a ton of extra molten adamantium, and she dies, and her body sinks in that tank right there, and when her head hits the floor, it's like a clunk. Whoa. Made out of metal, because her whole skeleton and like her ears and her eyes and her nose and her mouth are all leaking liquid adamantium.
Whoa,
it's crazy. This movie is kind of gnarly. That's just the word I was going to use.
Gnarly.
So yeah, but then they get out. Not all of the humans die. Not all of the mutants die. Eric fails his plan, and they walk away. And Wolverine chains up Stryker to a wall and leaves him to die. As they escape, however, the dam that is holding up Alkali Lake begins to destroy itself because Jean Grey, throughout this entire movie, is beginning to experience some sort of weird energy, a fear that destruction is upon them. And Scott Summers is all, I love you.
Yeah.
I love you.
Let's make babies.
Yeah. And so
I don't know what to tell you.
While they're escaping in the X-Jet, the dam breaks and a giant tidal wave is bearing down on them, perhaps.
Right.
As it were. And so Jean is like, this is what it was. I have to sacrifice myself. And she goes outside and she does one of these. With her mind powers. She does one of these. And like splits the sea. And the jet gets away. And then she gets swallowed up by the waves and dies.
Wow.
But then at the end of the movie, there's a little phoenix under the water.
That leads us to X-Men The Last Stand. Not X-Men 3 or anything. Just X-Men The Last Stand.
But a Wolverine clause. Or the 3.
Wolverine clause. Yes, that all would have been good information to know. Because I watched the third one. And I did not know what happened to Jean. But I figured it out.
Okay.
So yes, this movie opens with CGI Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen, very baby-faced, smooth boys, because they are back in 1986, baby. It's the 80s.
Heck yeah,
they
baby.
go to a young Jean Grey's house. Anyway,
It's fine.
they sit down with Jean's parents, and they're like, listen, your daughter is crazy. She has enough power to destroy the entire world, maybe even more than the entire world, maybe the entire universe she could destroy one day.
That's power.
It would probably be more safe for her to come with us and live with us in the X mansion. And her parents are like, what? And they're like, just show us, Jean, show us what you can do. And she lifts up in this neighborhood, everybody's cars, and Stan Lee's there. He's watering his plants, and his hose, the stream from his hose goes up in the air, and everything's floating, and they're like,
epic.
whoa. And then smash cut to the, X-Men title sequence. This is the one that people think is the worst. I think it's pretty much around the same quality as the other two, if I'm going to be totally honest with you.
As in good or as in bad?
As in just the way that they are. Just pretty okay,
Beautiful.
in my opinion. I don't feel very strong about any of them. But we are in the present now. This is the the first introduction of the mutant cure. Everybody, they have this place called Worthington Labs. Worthington Labs announces an inoculation to suppress the X gene that gives mutants their abilities and offers the cure to any mutant that wants it. Rogue is one of the main X-Men that's like, I would really like that. I think I would enjoy being a normal person who could touch people.
Right. She can't control her life's draining powers.
Exactly. Magneto, as you see here, Magneto and his boys have reassembled. Magneto's boys have assembled. The Brotherhood of Mutants is what they're called. They are the opposition to the cure as an entire concept. They not only don't want to take it, they want to eliminate it entirely because they believe that it will be eventually weaponized to destroy their entire kind, they're probably right. But we're checking back in with the X-Men. What's going on at the mansion? We see Logan has been fully integrated into this little team. He is hanging out with the X-Men. He's become kind of a mutant mentor figure. He is teaching. Yeah, he's teaching this group of mutants how to fight and use their powers in their hologram danger scenario room from Star Trek.
The holodeck?
Star Trek: The Next Generation, the holodeck. Yeah, we know things. We know Star Trek. We're nerds. He still has an attitude. He's still kind of gruff and like, I'm just here. I'm just smoking a cigar. I can do all this myself. I'm made of adamantium. I can do whatever I want. But he's there. He's like, I'll help out because Scott's away. Scott he's troubled because the love of his life has been taken from him. She drowned in Alkali Lake maybe a year or two ago in this movie. I don't know how long it has been since the last one.
Hard to say.
But he's out of town. He's going to Alkali Lake to scream. He goes out there, he takes off his glasses, and he lets his pulsar beams out of his eyes. They're not lasers, everyone. They're pulse beams. It's important.
Okay.
He can't cut stuff, he can push stuff, but not really in the movies. He can cut stuff. So he goes out there and he starts to see some phenomena. Some rocks are floating.
Whoa.
And all of a sudden, who is it but Jean Grey levitates around, and she's like, Scott, is that you? And
Scotty.
He's like, Jean, you're alive. And they embrace and they kiss, and she kills him. Jean Grey absolutely obliterates him into atoms, except for his glasses that make it out.
They continue to float.
She kills him and she disappears. Actually, no, she doesn't disappear. She kills him and then she faints and she's unconscious on the ground because the X-Men show up. Storm and Logan, and I think it's just them. They show up and they see Jean Grey unconscious on the ground, and they see Scott's glasses on the ground, and they're like, "What happened here? Oh, Jean's alive. We got to take her back to the mansion."
Yeah.
So they take her back, she's unconscious. They put her on their, examining table or whatever.
Uh-huh.
And Professor X is there. He's looking in her brain. He's like, something's weird going on. And this is where he reveals the truth. When Jean sacrificed herself at the end of the last movie, she unintentionally released the Phoenix, a dark alternate personality with godlike destructive potential, which Xavier had telepathically repressed. So he talks about how he brought Jean to the mansion, and he could tell that she had untamable power. Uh-huh. What he did was he built a series of telepathic mind barriers to keep her evil godlike powers suppressed, and to keep the normal Jean out front, where she couldn't ever connect to this other part of her. And Logan, he is just upset. He is very upset that he's like, you messing with her mind. That's her mind, not your mind.
You're messing with her mind.
Yeah, he's pissed about it.
Yeah,
it's like, how could you do this? It wasn't her choice. She has to have free will and whatever. She wakes up, and she wakes up to just Logan in the room, and she's like, oh my goodness, I'm very hot for you right now. And she tries to make out with him and stuff, and he's like, Jean, this isn't you. You're crazy right now. And she's like, what? What are you talking about? You're the worst. I'm evil. And then she leaves.
What the?
She runs away. Magneto hears of all this through the grapevine that Jean Grey is alive. And they don't know where she went, but Magneto and Xavier know. Their theory is she probably went back to her childhood home. So Xavier and his boys, the X-Men, and Magneto and his boys, the Brotherhood of Mutants, they all pull up at this house, and they stand next to each other in lines. They all line up opposite each other, like, who's going to make the first move, bro? And Eric and Charles go into the house, confront Jean, and Magneto's like, come with me, I can help you. Together we can save mutant kind with your power. We will be unburdened by this world. And Charles is like, no, Jean, keep your powers contained. If you don't, you'll destroy everything, even us standing here before you. And she's like, you're filling my head with nonsense. And she gets so overwhelmed that she starts levitating, and everything starts levitating. The house is spinning in the air, and Magneto gets through to her. But even he doesn't realize what's about to happen, because the Phoenix, Jean, the Phoenix, in her rage, begins to kill Charles and turn him into little bits and disintegrate him. And Erica's like, no! And Charles just kind of looks at the camera. He's like, I'm dead now. And he explodes. He literally just explodes.
Yeah.
Classic. And Eric is like, Jean, you're a monster. I didn't mean for you to kill my friend, but he takes her under his wing still, and he's like, we can help each other. So he's gonna use her to help him, get the cure and destroy it and whatever. It essentially escalates to a war between the X-Men, the Brotherhood of Mutants, Magneto's people, and they charge at each other, and there's a big battle. And the Phoenix goes crazy, and she has an altercation with Logan, and she's like, the real Jean comes back for a minute. She's like, kill me. And he's like, no. And then he kills her, and he stabs his claws while he's being disintegrated, and kills her and saves the day. Because he was the only one who could survive what was happening, so he's the one who had to kill her.
What cruel fate.
And that's the end of the movie. Everybody's like, wow, that was a time, wasn't it? And then at the end, because Charles, he exploded, but at the end of the movie, we meet Moira McTaggart. She's a doctor or something, but one of her comatose patients wakes up and speaks to her with Charles Xavier's voice.
What?
And it's never mentioned ever again, but that's what happens at the end of the movie.
All right.
Because later that doesn't matter in the timeline, but that's how that movie ends. Which leads us to
X-Men
The good
Origins
one.
Wolverine. The really
Everyone's
good one.
favorite one, yeah.
Here's James as a child, right?
Okay.
Important to note, he has little bone claws, not
Bone claws.
adamantium claws.
What?
Anyway, the credits sequence is James and his brother fight in every war that happens that America is a part of throughout, from like literally like the Civil War on. And Victor is starting to get kind of crazy. He kind of loves killing, right?
Oh.
He's kind of super into it.
He's
And
into
James
it a
is-
little bit.
And James is like, you guys, like, killing is great and all, but like, let's calm it down a little.
Don't get me wrong.
Anyway.
I like it as much as anyone would.
Yeah, cha cha cha, you know.
Yeah.
So some time passes, you know. We're like basically modern day. At one point or another, it's revealed that James
Revealed.
and Victor are mutants. And so they court-martial them and say, we're going to have you killed by firing squad. So they shoot them with a bunch of guns, and they just poop out the bullets. They're like, it's fine.
Poop them out.
And so they move on. They get put in jail, and then Stryker, pictured looking at a wall in that image, pictured here, looking at a corpse. He's like, what's up, guys? I'm putting together a team. And so he gathers them. He's like, we're making the X-Force. It's not the X-Force, but it's like a Black Ops mutant special team. So you have Will.i.am, first and foremost. You have Blob, but not Blob. It is Blob, but he's not the same one from who's the senator. Wade Wilson, a.k.a. Deadpool.
What? No way,
Played
guys.
by Ryan Reynolds.
He's in
no
this
less.
movie? What?
He's literally in
No
this
way.
movie. Here he is, serving face, as they might say.
Dang.
So they are in, I think they're in Lagos, and they go up to this drug lord, crime lord guy, and they're like, we're gonna kill everybody. And the guy is like, I don't want to die. Here's a bag of diamonds. And they're like, we don't want you stinking diamonds. We want you dead. And Sabretooth is like, and he kills them. And then Logan is like, I'm out. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm out. And he leaves. And they let him walk away. And Victor's like, Jimmy! And he just lets him leave. Jimmy! So then Logan goes back to Canada, the land of the free. And
He loves Canada.
And he becomes a lumberjack sort
days,
of
you know what I mean,
kind
guys?
of guy. And he meets this woman. He's in love with her. They're happy. They're living their quiet life. It's great. All of a sudden, Victor shows up, murders her, right?
What?
So here's the deal, right?
No way.
Stryker shows up, and he's like, hey, we want you back. And Logan's like, no. And he's like, okay, guess I'll leave. And then, like, literally the next day, Logan's girlfriend dies.
Dang.
And he sees the finger panther claws,
Okay.
right? The saber-tooth claws in her chest. She's dead. Deader than dead.
Okay.
Ne'er to return to life, obviously.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so then Logan goes back to Stryker and he's like, what do you need me for? And he's like, Sabretooth's gone rogue. He's killing everybody. So he's
killing
like, I need you to come back to Alkali Lake. We're going to make you stronger. Okay? So then we have these images here, these iconic images here of Logan
Just like
is
that.
infused with an adamantium skeleton. And so now he has super strong metal skeleton. Cannot be killed. Even more cannot be killed. And his bone claws have now turned into super razor sharp CGI claws.
Yeah.
So now he is prepared to go kill his brother, who he was always already stronger than. But hey. Yeah, he like clinks them together in the mirror, and they go twing, twing off each other. So Logan goes around and meets all the mutants from his former past, and they all get killed by one by Sabretooth. He really sucks at his job. Charlie dies. Will.i.am dies. Blob. Oh. I think Blob actually gets away. He's fine. He didn't do anything wrong.
I like Blob.
And then we have this guy. I don't know the actor's name. He plays Gambit.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a freaking sick character, by the way. Gambler, riverboat kind of gunslinger looking dude. And he has a magic stick and a magic deck of cards that he uses to make purple explosions. And he is unrelated to the story, but kind of just becomes Logan's friend briefly. They kind of have like a Thor, Captain America, Iron Man fight where it's 2-on-1, but it's also 1-on-1-on-1 at certain points, and they fight, and they all get away, and they all survive. He comes back to Alkali Lake, and he finds Stryker, and they have a little chit-chat about it, and they reveal the plot. And then also, this lady comes back, wasn't dead, was in on it the whole time. And Stryker's like, you really thought we'd let you leave? And he's like, you betrayed me! And she's all like, it wasn't real at first, but I really did fall in love, and blah, 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 right? So Stryker then reveals I think it's just called Weapon X in this one. But it's Deadpool.
No way.
And it's still Ryan Reynolds, right? But he's become this weird, morphed being.
Yeah.
And the idea is Deadpool talked too much, so they sewed his face shut. And it's a joke on Deadpool. And it's a sick joke for the fans. But then Stryker shows up, and Logan's like, I'm gonna kill you for doing all this stuff. And then he shoots him in the head. He shoots Logan in the head with an adamantium bullet, and he doesn't die, but he does lose all of his memories. And then we go forward in time to X-Men, the first movie. But we already talked about those, so we're going to go back in time, back forward future time, to a different alternate future but it is the past before X-Men Origins Wolverine, because he still doesn't, but he doesn't have bone claws.
Well, yeah.
You tell the story.
This movie starts, the opening scene takes place in 1945 in Japan, right? He's a prisoner near Nagasaki. Like, it's just, he's near that place that, nothing bad ever happens. But yeah, something bad happens. They hear Logan is there imprisoned, and they hear the plane approaching with the nuclear bomb, and all of the senior officers from that Japanese facility all line up, and they're going to do, seppuku, kill themselves, all that stuff. Yoshida is Logan's friend. He's kind of nice to him in prison. He's about to kill himself with everybody else. Wolverine breaks out of prison to stop him. He's like, listen, this nuclear bomb is about to go off. We gotta go. And he takes him in a big hole in the ground is where they're keeping him. So they jump in there, and Wolverine puts a piece of metal over him, and the nuke happens. And when the dust settles, it pull back and reveal Logan with his skin's completely burnt. He has no hair, but he's alive. And Yoshida's like, "Whoa, you saved my life, but we'll reconnect someday in the future, and I'll give you a prize of money or something."
Yeah.
But anyway, we're in the present day. He's back in Canada. He looks like a bear. You can see him here. He has very long hair, very long beard. He's literally just living in the forest like an animal. And he actually has a friend that's a bear, an actual bear, that he lives in the forest with. But these idiot Canadian hunters kill his bear friend, and he goes to a bar, and he's like, "Did you kill this bear? Because if you did, I'm going to kill you." He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about, man. I'm not. I have this bow and arrow, but I didn't kill a bear. I don't know what you're talking about." He gets in this altercation, and one of our main characters, Yukio, shows up. She is a mutant with the ability to foresee people's deaths. And she is there. And she goes, "My friend Yoshida sent me." Yoshida, the guy from 1940s Japan, has sent her. Yoshida is dying. He is dying of cancer, and he sends Yukio to get Logan because he wants, before he dies, he wants to give Logan a gift. This sword, katana sword, that was his back in the war as like a token of his appreciation for saving his life and like all this stuff.
Great.
And Logan's like, "Listen, I just want to stay in Canada. I'm not the Wolverine anymore. Tell Yoshida I'm sorry, but like whatever." But Yukio's like, "You just killed that guy in the bar, and the authorities are after you. So what are you gonna do?" And he's like, "You're right. I don't want to deal with the smoke. I'm gonna go to Japan.
Going to Japan.
Going to Japan, baby." He goes to Tokyo, and he meets Yoshida's son Shinjin and granddaughter Mariko. Mariko is the love interest for this movie. She is pictured here. Yoshida. Okay, so Yoshida says, "Logan, look, you're really old. I know you, man. I know that you don't want to live forever. And me, as a human, I would kind of like to live forever. I kind of want to live a bit longer. I'm dying like I want to live, and I know you've lived many lifetimes, and you probably want to die. So here's my offer. I figured out how to transfer your powers to me, and if you're willing to do this, you will get the death that you've always dreamed of, and I will get to live on." And Logan is like, "Thanks for the offer, but I got to go back to Canada." But he stays there. She's like, "Please, just stay the night. It's the least I can do. Please, just as my friend, stay the night." And as he's sleeping, Poison Ivy comes in, and she gives him a kiss and some poison, probably. The next morning, Yukio informs Logan that Yoshida has died, and so he attends the funeral in this black suit that you see. It's a great fit for this action set piece. The Yakuza is there. They try to kidnap Mariko for some reason, or they actually don't kidnap her. Logan stops their attempts to kidnap them, and Logan and Mariko stay in a literal, what is called a love hotel. They flee to a love hotel. So they hang out and they fall in love. They capture her, they take him back to Yoshida. There's a bunch of ninjas. And okay, important detail. During the whole funeral action set piece, Logan's getting shot and stuff, and he realizes he's not healing as fast as he should be. He's like losing his healing ability. So he's trying not to get shot as much. Yeah, everybody ends up back at the compound where Yoshida had been. Shinjin tries to kill Mariko, but Logan stops him. He goes into the medical facility, and he does a little x-ray on himself, and he sees like this spider creature that's wrapped around his heart. So he lays on the table, and he takes out one of his claws, and he stabs himself in the chest, and he reaches his hand into his chest, and he like pulls the spider thing off of his heart, and he like dies with his heart in his hand, right? As Yukio says earlier. And then since he pulls out the spider thing was taking his powers away from him. He takes the thing out, he heals up, he kills Shinjin, and the movie goes on. But Snake Lady is evil, and she's like, "You're captured now, and we're gonna lock you up." And the big Silver Samurai comes out. Samurai is like,
Silver Samurai.
"I'm here, and I'm gonna kill." I'm made out of adamantium, and he hooks. He fights Logan for a bit, and then he cuts his claws in half, and because he needs to drill into the bone marrow. So you see these drills like go into his bones. It's really hard to watch. To extract Logan's DNA to transfer Logan's powers to Yoshida, who is alive and faked his death for this whole thing. So the silver samurai thing opens up, and Yoshida's there, and he successfully begins to transfer the powers, and he becomes a young man again. And then Logan just kills him. He cuts up the thing, and Yukio helps, and Silver Samurai falls into the lake. And then, yeah, at the end of this movie, in a mid-credits scene, Eric and Charles show up, and they're like, Logan, the Sentinels are being built. We got to go to another movie. Because it's going to be bad.
And that movie is X-Men Days of Future Past.
Yeah.
So, in the future, right? Way in the future, mutant kind has been eradicated. Or nearly eradicated. And, like, basically everybody is holed up in these camps. Anybody who has the mutant gene or has the potential to pass down the mutant gene. Right? So, like, a lot of people are wound up in these camps held together by purple energy beams. And there is the last surviving force of mutants remaining is, like, our main X-Men and then a couple cool characters. There's more X-Men show up. Charles, Storm, Eric, and the Wolverine.
Whoa.
And he shows up and he's like, "What's up? What's going on?" And Kitty Pryde is like, "You're the only person I can send far enough back to actually make a difference in the timeline. Everybody else,
right.
Their mind is incapable of going that far back in time." So she is like, "This is gonna hurt," and she blue beams into his mind, and he goes back in time. Because
they're trying to do this, yeah.
Yeah, they're basically
what are they trying to do?
The plan is you're going to go back in time and convince me, Charles Xavier, to stop Trask from being assassinated by Mystique, which spurred the anti-mutant movement and accelerated the Sentinel program. Is like chained through his body, stuck to a concrete slab, and then Magneto threw him into the ocean. He drowns. In the moment that he dies, is the moment that the time is officially altered because his consciousness is returned to his future, current body, present self.
Right.
And so right before his body is transferred back to his future consciousness, Mystique drops the gun, and that is the moment that the timeline is officially altered. And so, meanwhile, in China, in the future, the Sentinels are bearing down on the enemies, the mutants, and they are killing everybody. They're stabbing them. They're breaking them in half. They're freezing them. They're ripping heads off. It's all crazy. Goodness, crazy stuff. Mm-hmm. And they finally make it to the final room where they're all gonna die, and they look each other in the eye, and the Sentinel opens his face hole and starts shooting a beam, and then they all vanish. And it was all changed, and the Sentinels were never made.
Whoa.
And Logan wakes up in a bed again, but this time with a shirt on, because he's a good man. And
he's a good boy.
He goes downstairs, and everything that happened in all the movies we've talked about so far did not happen. And a new timeline is started. They're like, "Guys, freak it. Let's just redo it."
Listen, guys, it's Logan. You've seen Logan.
So, it's Deadpool now.
Yep.
Deadpool moved over here into his little car seat. So he's gonna sit there now. And we have Deadpool, the plot of Deadpool. What's the plot of Deadpool? What's going on here? So Logan, we're gonna take a back seat. Logan's gonna take a seat back, and we're gonna talk about Deadpool now. So Deadpool is like, he's like a mutant, right? But he's like
Sure.
he's like a mutant, but they like force him to be a mutant. But we'll get to it. We'll get to it. So there's Deadpool. Here he is, and he's got some guns. This movie's just a bunch of jokes, back and forth, really disgusting jokes, some terrible, horrible violence, and it's a good time. And then every time you watch it after that, it's not funny. Okay, that's the reality.
Deadpool, they kill Vanessa at the very beginning, and Deadpool's like, no, don't kill my love interest. I'm mad, and I'm gonna be mad about it. So Wade tries to kill himself, but then it's fine at the end, I think. I don't really remember how this movie ends. He gets Cable's time travel watch, and he goes back in time and stops the guys from killing Vanessa. Everything's okay, and the movie doesn't matter and has no consequences. Right. So, Deadpool and Wolverine, guys. We saw
it. Guys. We saw it opening day.
This is a real review.
We saw it. I saw it 3 p.m. on a Thursday before the release
4 p.m. on a Thursday.
On Friday. And now it's Sunday.
Because we're critics.
We're critics, and we get early showings, and we go to the early showings because we need to be able to share our opinions ASAP.
Yeah.
ASAP Rocky.
ASAP
so,
Rocky.
What do you think? Give me your stars. Give me your rating.
I gave it 2.5 stars. Pretty center. Because I felt like this was okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We have Deadpool and we have Hugh Jackman returning as Wolverine. And a lot of people were concerned that they would desecrate the memory of the movie Logan.
Right.
And to my surprise, they did that literal thing as literally as they possibly could in the very first minutes of the movie by having Deadpool dig up Logan's grave and use his bones to kill a bunch of people.
Yeah.
I don't actually care that much, but I thought it was funny that they thought that was somehow better, or like they were like, haha, isn't this hilarious? You thought we weren't going to do this, but we did it literally because it's funny.
Right.
Nice.
I'm laughing.
I was like, whatever. The TVA show up and they're like, Wade Wilson. Oh gosh, this movie's so stupid. I just didn't like this movie that much, man. Like, it's just, the TVA show up and like this movie's just freaking. I said it in my review. It's just so relentless, and it's just everyone is talking constantly, and if they're not talking, they're shooting constantly and fighting constantly, and they're just all talking so quickly. And I'm like, what? The TVA guy, he comes in, he's like, listen. Your world, his world, the Deadpool from Earth 1005, whatever it was, his timeline is disintegrating because Logan died. Because he was, quote, an anchor being. So dumb, stupid, doesn't make any sense. He said, and he's like, I'm tasked to oversee this timeline's disintegration, which will happen over the next thousands of years. But I'm impatient and I don't want to wait that long. Mm-hmm. So what I'm going to do is destroy that timeline right now. And I need you, Deadpool, to do something. I don't remember what he even wants him to do, but he's just like, you can hang out if you want.
I think his idea is Deadpool's going to try to stop me if I tell him about the Time Ripper.
Right.
So he's like, I'm going to save Deadpool and give him something to fight for, which is work at the TVA. And then he won't try to stop me with the Time Ripper stuff. So he goes and brings him back to do whatever he's going to do. It's not really important.
Sure.
It doesn't really matter.
I don't know.
He just
it doesn't matter because at that point, Deadpool goes, I'm going to go find a Logan to put back in my timeline so all my friends can stay alive.
Right.
And then he goes, and we get and we get Cameo City, different Wolverine variant time to have fun. And we see Henry Cavill is there, and we see Hugh Jackman as a tiny guy, and we see Hugh Jackman as a eye patch guy, and we see Hugh Jackman as Jesus, I think. I don't know what that was.
Oh, yeah, that was weird.
Probably in the comics. He brings back this Wolverine, and the TVA guy is like, that's the worst one. You chose the worst one for some reason. And you can't just put an anchor being back, man. An anchor being is a really serious thing that matters and like makes a lot of sense. So you can't just
do
put one back.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do this thing. So they disintegrate them and send them to the Loki set.
Yep.
The Time Beyond Time set.
Void.
Where the big space cloud dog is.
Elias.
What happens from there?
So Deadpool and Wolverine have a big fight because they're pissed off that they don't like each other.
Yeah.
Wolverine's like, you promised me you'd save my world. And Deadpool's like, you promised me you'd save mine. And they still have like a mutual plan to save each other's worlds, but they're pissed off for fight reasons. And then Captain America shows up and Pyro shows up. And all these guys from the old movies show up. But then Captain America is actually Johnny Storm from Fantastic Four 2004 or whatever that movie came out. And he says flame on. And it's freaking hilarious and everything I've ever wanted from a cameo. I actually was really hype in this one particular moment because I was like, this is the best thing they could have ever done with a cameo is like have, Chris Evans is Captain America. Have Chris Evans show up and be like Captain America for a second. And then he's like, just kidding. I'm this other guy I played a long time ago. And people will know. And it's funny.
I didn't hate that. I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny. And then Pyro from the old X-Men movies shows up, and his teeth are gross.
Yeah.
Gross. And a bunch of other cameos show up, and they go to Ant-Man's skeleton in the void, giant Ant-Man skeleton, and they meet Cassandra Nova, Alexander Hamilton's twin sister. What's his name? Charles Xavier. Charles Xavier's twin sister, Cassandra Nova, who's just also bald.
Yes.
I don't know if that's like a mind power thing.
It's genetic.
That they just become bald. But she's bald, and she puts her fingers in people's heads, quite literally.
Yep.
And it's super grody.
She sure does.
But the effect is actually pretty good. I thought.
It's pretty sick.
And she's like, I'm evil and I want everything to be in the void so I can be God. And Deadpool and Wolverine are like, screw this mess. And they leave. And they go find Channing Tatum's Gambit, which is my other favorite cameo.
Pretty good.
He does like I guess it's a Baton Rouge, like New Orleans kind of accent.
Yeah. Cajun.
Yeah.
Cajun accent, yeah.
Then we find...
Which was classic of the character, yes.
Is it actually literally Wesley Snipes as Blade?
Yeah, it is Wesley Snipes.
And Elektra. Jennifer Garner. From Deadpool. And from the old Deadpool, right? So these are all these characters, and they're like, hey guys, we didn't have good endings, or we never got movies that we actually were in. In the case of Channing Tatum, because he was fan cast for a long time, and no one ever casted him, and Gambit from X-Men Origins Wolverine had a boring, terrible character and wasn't really in the series at all. Yeah. And so they're all like...
Also, Daphne Keane is there.
Oh, yeah.
From
and
Logan.
Freaking X-23.
The movie Logan.
Daphne Keane is there, and she's older, and she's like...
Which by the way.
Oh,
I will say,
tell 'em.
Told you. They just put it in the trailer. In the third or so trailer, Daphne Keane shows up. And I was like, oh, cool. That's great. Would have loved to see that in the movie, but now I know.
Yep.
So, and apparently here's the reason why they put it in the trailer.
Tell me.
Which they said verbatim. Daphne Keane wanted to go to the premiere.
Ah.
So they put it in the trailer so that she could go to the premiere.
She can still go to the premiere. Freaking Wolverine is there. Why can't she be at the premiere?
Exactly. That was pretty bummer. And also, like, I didn't like knowing that Laura from the literal Laura from the movie Logan is just living in essentially what is hell. So, like,
What happened there?
That's not very fun to know. I didn't like that. And also, she doesn't put on her Wolverine suit. Everyone else is in their superhero suits, and they just make her wear a t-shirt. X-23 Laura Wolverine has an awesome Wolverine suit, and she doesn't even wear it. I was like, you guys, you're doing literally everything else.
But she puts on the sunglasses.
Great. So good. She puts on kids' sunglasses that wouldn't fit her anymore.
Oh.
Anyway.
Breaking canon. Sunglasses always fit.
I liked the scene where, because the score is like popping off. There's this really cool song while these cameos just walk out of a hallway.
Oh yeah,
and
it was actually good. It was actually hype.
It was pretty hype. Yeah, and they're like, we can just go beat Cassandra if you want, and so they're like, yeah, let's go.
And so they all fight.
And then they beat her
Cassandra
immediately,
and they kind of low key beat her up. And they open a portal with the sling ring, and they jump out back to Earth 10,005. And then Cassandra's like, screw you guys, I'm coming too. And she jumps in, and she's like, hey guys, I'm going to use the World Ripper to destroy this timeline and all the other timelines. And everything's going to exist in my void. And Succession guy, who's the exposition guy from earlier in the movie, Succession guy's like, hey, this is bad, work for me now, for real, and destroy Cassandra Nova. And Deadpool and Wolverine are like, yeah, all right, I guess, whatever. And
cool, man.
So then they walk up, and then all these Deadpools show up, and they're all the Deadpools from every other Void universe. And you got Lady Deadpool, and you got Samurai Deadpool, and you got Baby Deadpool, and you got Gunslinger Deadpool, and you got Bald Deadpool, and you got a bunch of regular Deadpools, and you got long-haired Jesus Ryan Reynolds Deadpool with gold guns, and a puppy, and a floating propeller hat skeleton Deadpool. There's a bunch of Deadpools. They're all over. There's a fat Deadpool. There's a little kid Deadpool, but not a baby Deadpool. There's a bunch of them. And they have a fight scene, and they kill them all, but then they all get back up because guess what? Deadpools all have regeneration, except for long-haired Jesus Deadpool. He dies. He gets shot 100 billion times.
That was the one genuine laugh that I had, was when they were shooting him a bunch of times.
Yeah.
And the realization that he doesn't regenerate.
He's just bleeding.
I had a genuine, like, out loud belly laugh
That's
at
good.
that. I loved that was part. Good. Yeah. It was very funny.
And so they beat all the Deadpools, and they go down into the subway to the World Ripper, and Cassandra Nova's in there with her hands in the antimatter and the manter things, and she's like, right, because she's ripping the timeline apart, I guess. She needs to sit there and be a conduit. I don't really understand. Why?
Loki's just sitting back in his time god chair being like, all right,
this is fine. Let it be.
This is fine, I guess. Let it be.
And so Deadpool and Wolverine are like, let's go downstairs.
I want this movie to be over.
Let's go downstairs and do Spock, Wrath of Khan. And so they literally do that
Into
through
darkness.
the window. Or Into Darkness.
Right reference.
If you want to go to the other way around. And Deadpool's
Into Darkness
I'm
is
gonna
better
grab...
than Wrath of Khan.
Whoa, hot take.
It's not.
Have you seen?
It's not.
Have you seen Wrath of Khan?
I have.
Oh, shut up.
I just wanted to make more people extremely angry at us for no reason.
That would have been funny.
We would get the Star Trek fans.
Dude, we
to
should do
Rocketry.
Star Trek Explained. Let's do that.
That would be fun. That would take a long time.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
All the series and all the movies.
Yep. Like, we'll see you guys in like 3 years when we're done with all that. Longest slideshow ever. And so Deadpool's in there, and he has to grab the energy from the matter pillar and the energy from the antimatter pillar, and do like a Guardians of the Galaxy thing, where he's like, and sacrifices himself. And Wolverine's like, no, it should be me that sacrifices myself. I want to die. And so he's in there, boom, 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 against the door. And
Yep.
and then he busts in, and he's like, let me grab you, and let me grab this, and then the matter and the antimatter conduits through them, and they're like, and they're like, and it blows up the world. It blows up the World Ripper, and Cassandra Nova goes, and she dies, and we don't know anything about her, and she's lame. And then Succession guy is like, everything got covered up in the end. Cassandra Nova was the villain, and I'm out of this scot-free. And the girl from Loki season 2, who's in charge of the TVA now, shows up, and she's like, Succession guy, what the heck is going on? And he's like, I got it all under control, ma'am. And then Deadpool and Wolverine show up, and Wolverine is shirtless, but he still has his cowl on. And he put his cowl on earlier, and that was cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
And they're like, this guy is a bad guy. And then the lady who's in charge of the TV is like, Succession guy, what the heck is going on here? And Succession guy's like, I did it for the good of the TVA. We needed to go back to our ways. And then what happens?
I don't know.
Okay, then I think the movie just sort of ends.
The girl from Loki really likes Peter, and that was funny. Peter is there. He puts on a Deadpool costume. And Hunter B-15's like, hell yeah, dude. Give me some of that. They all go and they have a barbecue or something, and Daphne Keane is there. Oh, yeah, they go, could you help get my friends back from the void? And Hunter B-15's like, yeah, sure, but only Daphne Keane is there.
But only Daphne Keane is there. Because they couldn't afford
Jennifer Gardner and Channing Tatum and what's his name? Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes
for a second time. And then they're just like, hey, this has been great. What a fun movie, right, guys? Credits. And then we get an homage to all the X-Men movies and Fox Marvel movies.
Which I did like.
So, okay, and here's the funny... Okay, I didn't like this movie very much. And so Ryan Reynolds said either today or yesterday. So they've been promoting this movie as like, Deadpool and Wolverine are coming to the MCU, baby. It's big MCU introduction. Deadpool is doing a Disney movie, everyone. And then you watch the movie and you're like, okay, whatever. And then Ryan Reynolds said today or yesterday, he was like, Deadpool and Wolverine isn't a movie about Deadpool joining the MCU. It's about showing love and affection and respect to what came before, and a farewell to the Fox X-Men universe and how good it was and how much fun it was. And I was like, it didn't feel like that at all. It did not feel like that at all. It felt really out of place to have this like farewell to the Fox X-Men thing in the credits, because none of those characters really showed up, and like we already have a good like outro for that universe with Logan. Like, this is exactly what we were talking about when we were like, we kind of had a nice ending. And they did like Dark Phoenix and the New Mutants and all that, but that was kind of like whatever. It was kind of the release schedule got messed up with the Disney Fox merger and whatever. It just felt so pointless and useless and not really anything except, don't you guys like cameos? Isn't this fun? Didn't you like talking about balls and all that stuff? And no, not really. So great. The MCU's back, baby.
The MCU's right back where it began. Iron Man is back.
Iron Man is Doctor Doom, everyone.
Yeah, tell me about Doctor
Let's
Doom. What are your
go.
thoughts and feelings on the death of
Here we
Kang
go.
Dynasty?
So, San Diego Comic-Con is happening right now. And they did 4 panels, everybody. They got 4 big things coming up. They have Captain America Brave New World. They brought the cast out and talked about the movie. Giancarlo Esposito is playing the head of the Serpent Society. It takes place... I mean, the plot is centered around... Actually, you'll like this, Joshua.
Okay. Oh
As a
God.
fan of Eternals.
No.
They're acknowledging the existence of the movie Eternals for the first time since Eternals came out. So apparently the crux of Captain America Brave New World is that the big, the big thing that started sprouting out of the earth at the end of Eternals.
Tiamat?
That's there, and Tiamat is there. And what is on Tiamat? Adamantium, baby.
Yo.
And so the movie's about, it's an arms race to get as much adamantium as we can before the other countries do, and because we need to get that metal because it's the best metal on Earth because it's on the alien. And so
Better than
everybody's fighting over
vibranium?
adamantium. It's better than vibranium, even.
Oh, snap.
So they're trying to get that. Probably a big set piece is happening on Tiamat, which is kind of fun. I think it'll be a fun movie. That was great. They did that,
Excited.
and then they did the Thunderbolts.
Right.
They had a panel. They showed some footage. Everybody's kind of like, okay, if Florence Pugh is in it, and that Florence Pugh and Sebastian Stan are in it, and that's enough to keep people interested, I think.
Yeah.
It's just they didn't really reveal any details other than we're still making this thing, and it's going to be fun.
What's going on with Kraven Hunter? Isn't that a thing?
That's a Sony, like in the Venom universe.
Oh.
Not related to MCU at all. Kraven the Hunter, starring Aaron Taylor Johnson, is still supposed to be coming out this year at some point.
All right.
The third panel was Fantastic Four, The Fantastic Four. Subtitle, The Fantastic Four First Steps is the name of the movie now. Directed by Matt Shackman. The whole cast came out. The 4 guys. You got Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Eben Moss-Backrack, and Joseph Quinn, the Fantastic Four. Great cast. I don't have any notes. I think it's great. They showed some footage. Some footage leaked. I saw. Looked fantastic. They're filming in 4x3, the square, which is fantastic. It's going to be set in the 60s. Galactus is the villain.
Perfect.
I think it's going to be great. It sounds awesome. And then they had...
Silver Surfer?
The Russos came out to do the last panel. The Joe and Anthony Russos. They said, "We're back, baby. Your favorite directors are back. We're back." And so we're not doing Kang Dynasty anymore. Kang is out. That whole thing happened.
That's good.
What we're doing is we're doing a movie called Avengers Doomsday. And then that's 2026. And then in 2027, we're getting Avengers Secret Wars, directed by these 2 guys, baby. And then they go, but for Avengers Doomsday, we're going to introduce Victor Von Doom, Doomsday. Dr. Doom. And they said, we need the best actor of all time to play this guy. The only actor that could possibly pull it off. And then Robert Downey Jr. walks on stage. It's Robert Downey Jr.'s in the mask. And he's there. He's playing Dr. Doom in the MCU.
What the heck?
And everybody is like, okay, sure. So what's happening here is the most likely scenario is... the Fantastic Four will happen, and it will introduce Robert Downey Jr. as Victor Von Doom, a Tony Stark variant of some kind. There are plenty of comics where this has happened, where there's a Tony Stark, Doctor Doom crossover.
Interesting.
So, the best case scenario. And okay, so Dr. Doom, the most important thing about Dr. Doom is that he's a guy who doesn't ever take off his mask. That's his entire thing, is that he never takes off his mask.
Right.
So best case scenario, Robert Downey Jr. just voices this character, and it's revealed that he's a Tony Stark variant. But then at the end of the movie, he's killed by like the real Doctor Doom. Reveal the real one. I don't know. That could happen, or it's just there was one comic somebody talked about where Doctor Doom like put his consciousness in Tony Stark's body or something. I don't know. It could be something like that, but like it's kind of weird. People are upset because it's a pretty blatant case of whitewashing. Because this guy's supposed to be from Romania, and it's been a white guy 3 times now, which is a bummer. And also, like, it's not a good look for you to be like, hey, we know you guys are upset that the MCU has kind of sucked recently. Don't you like the Russo bros? They're back. Don't you like Robert Downey Jr.? He's back. We're doing this all over again. After he did his, like... Robert Downey Jr. did his whole, like, I'm done with superhero movies, like, all this cash grab stuff. I'm finally a real actor. I'm getting my Oscar, baby. I'm doing Oppenheimer. And then the next year, he's like, I'm going to get that bag, though. Yeah. I really like money.
I spent all my money.
I spent all my money on cars and stuff and lighthouses. Mm-hmm. So, on a good note, Fantastic Four. And then we'll see what happens after that. All of this could be scrapped because they announced the Kang Dynasty a while ago, and that's not even happening anymore. So, like, who even knows? And really good for Jordan is that the DC movies are looking up. We are looking up, guys. DC is having a great time. They're doing the opposite of what Marvel is doing. They've switched, as predicted, they've switched places, and now James Gunn is running a real tight ship. He's taking his time with a couple movies while MCU is spinning their wheels and trying to catch up and making amends for the past like 4 years of garbage.
Right.
So I'm a happy boy. Cuz I haven't liked an MCU movie since Guardians Volume 3. So it's not totally bad yet. So but we'll see what happens. I'm looking for it. Captain America looks good. Yeah. I wasn't the first time I watched the Captain America trailer. I was like, I don't know, but then I saw it in the theater, and I was like, all right,
that looks pretty cool. Yeah,
that looks pretty cool. I like Harrison Ford. I like Anthony Mackie. Yeah, I like Giancarlo Esposito a lot. So probably be okay. Fantastic Four sounds great. Thunderbolts will probably be fine. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Every time I hear Thunderbolts, I want to watch the Thunderbirds. With Ben Kingsley as the villain. We should do that.
Yes, that movie is iconic.
His superpower is like wiggling his eyeballs, and it like mind controls you or something.
That movie is like deeply ingrained in my brain from when we were kids.
And every single kid has their own freaking rocket ship.
Yeah. It's
dope,
awesome.
Dude.
Vanessa Hudgens is in it, I think.
Oh, really?
Bill Paxton,
I don't remember it.
I think.
Whoa.
I don't know. Let's look it up.
Yeah, we gotta watch that movie.
Well, this has been a great episode of Quarter Twins.
Yeah, man. Welcome.
There's a massive disconnect between the first time we recorded and this one, but
that's part of the fun.
We did what we could
because the Deadpool universe, the Deadpool movies, kind of blow hard.
Yeah,
and
we're not Deadpool fans.
We're kind of like whatever.
Oh my gosh, yes.
With those ones. So great episode, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week. Well, maybe not. Who knows? It might be 100 years before we upload another video. We are famous.
I got Alien coming up next.
We got an Alien presentation to be had. I don't know. We'll see what happens in between then and now. If there is anything that happens between then and now, we'll show you it. Thanks you guys for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace out. I love you.